Hello, YouTube. It is Steve again, and I'm going to do another gun review. Today, I'm going to be reviewing my Glock 20, which is a 10 millimeter full-size handgun. Um, I had noticed when I first got this gun, and like my intentions, which was to build the gun um, in a fashion that allowed me to either hunt or self-protection. And this also do some upgrades. I love building guns. That's like my favorite thing to do when it comes to guns. But anyways, there wasn't a lot out there on the Glock 20 in terms of like modifications. Now the Glock 19s, Glock 17s, you'd see a lot because a lot of like competition shooters who are using those. Even like the what was it, the 23 and 22s, you would see it, but not a lot on the Glock 20. So hopefully, for the guys out there that are thinking about getting a Glock 20 or a Glock 29, this may help you with a little bit about one, the gun, then two, about if you were to build it out. Okay, so I did a video a long time ago. I forget. And it was just literally just a camera. I had a cell phone that was just showing it. So if you want like a really good look at what the gun looks like from all different angles, I guess. I mean, it's not the best, but that video will serve its purpose. For this, I'll show the gun and I'll talk about the gun itself and the modifications, so on and so forth. So again, the purpose of it is one, to show off my gun, but two, to also give you legitimate answers to some questions you may have about this particular gun. Because the Glock 20, although popular in some circles, the 10 millimeter is just not really a mainstream round. And it definitely has its pros and cons, which I can talk about. Okay, so first off, I'm going to tilt this a little bit, and you can see the weapon. This right here is my gun that I built out. Now, when I say I built out, meaning I had built out. All the lower was done by Zev Technologies. I sent the frame off, and they did that. And then the upper slide was done by 40th Arms, which they did the slide serrations and milled out for the RMR and installed the sights, so on and so forth. So overall, there's a lot of things that have gone on in the internet that have talked about like not messing with Glocks, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it is the truth. Once you start doing some guns, unless like you send it off to a company and it comes stock, meaning like the company itself does it and they can warranty it and they stand behind the products, you as the consumer going and like doing a Frankenstein project like this, you're going to have some issues, or you have the potential of having some issues, because I've had it with this gun. Just changing out different barrels. I do have the Fulcrum trigger, which, by the way, I love the Fulcrum trigger, and I've just got the trigger bar alone, but I'm telling you, I've had issues, especially with this barrel and the, what do you call it? It's not a replacement barrel. I can shoot 40 cals out of it. Conversion barrels. That's what I was looking for. So, anyways, just to give you a rundown, the Glock itself, the Glock 20 is, again, like I said, it's the full size. It's chambered in the 10 millimeter. Those that do not know a lot about the 10 millimeter, look it up, because it's a long history. 10 millimeter basically was born out of the 80s, a need from the FBI, and oh, that's my wife calling me. So, and there was a need to upgrade. There was a gunfight that took place. Anyways, you can look it up. 10 millimeter came out, potent round. They decided, hey, too much recoil, too much over penetration. Let's shorten it down, or excuse me, let's decrease the powder. And they figured they could shorten it, and this became the 40 cal. But the 10 millimeter in its own right is an awesome round. Ballistically speaking, it's between a 357 mag and a 41 mag. So I mean, this ballistically speaking outperforms a 357 mag. It is a pistol cartridge nonetheless. But you get the right kind of loading, especially in its true form. If you go with like buffalo bore, or you go with double tap, and especially put lead rounds through it. It's a potentially it's a good backwoods gun. I mean, you can take hogs, smaller bears. There's people that have different opinions about it, but I personally, if I had a stock Glock, not this one, but 15 rounds of 10 millimeters with 220 grain cast bullets, I'm going to feel pretty comfortable, or not comfortable. I'm going to feel confident that as a backup weapon that it would get the job done. I'd much prefer to have a rifle or shotgun versus a large predator, but still as a secondary weapon. Also, just to let you know, gun is safe. Okay. So 10 millimeter, great round. I have a certain love for some Magnum rounds. 10 millimeter is one of them. I'll tell you, there's way more cons than there are pros to the 10 millimeter because it costs you, especially if you want the good stuff. I mean, you can buy in bulk, buy on the internet, but regardless, you're going to pay. That was primarily the reason why I got the conversion barrel, so I can just go plink with this thing and not cost a fortune. So for any of you guys are out there that have bought 10 millimeter rounds, especially the potent rounds, you guys will know what I'm talking about. So anyways, the idea was to build like the ultimate combat handgun, and that's what this was all going to be about. I was going to build this gun that was going to be, the go to war gun. It's got RMR on it with suppressor sights, so if this goes down, I've got the light, and then it's just one of those things. Once you get into it, you can't stop. So anyways, I'm gonna give you a close up. If you look at it, you can see the Zev stippled it. They also stippled up here. That's great, especially when you're indexing your thumb. I really like that. So when I hold the weapon, that provides positive traction. I'm a big fan. Now, I'll tell you, anyone that wants to get their gun stippled, just understand that when you carry, because I have a Glock 19 that's a tier 1 by Zev, and I'll do a review on that if you guys like. It does rub up against the skin, all right? So you're going to have to make some adjustments, like when you carry it inside the waistband, you're going to have some kind of undershirt, or just, I guess, man up. But this stuff will rub you raw. The flip side of the coin is it does the job. I mean, your hand can be greasy, bloody, sweaty, wet. It doesn't matter. You grab this, it is traction. It's not uncomfortable to the hand. It's not going to rub it raw. But it's almost like a cast-like feeling. You know how a cast feels? So it has that same type of feeling. So absolutely love it. They do an undercut, so it goes higher. I initially, I wanted to keep the grooves. That was one thing I liked about, the Glocks is compared to some other guns that they had the grooves. In retrospect, on my 19, I actually have they removed the grooves. And I like it better. So the reason being is with that undercut, you can actually get up higher on there, and those fingers don't, lock you in. As much. With this, I still get a higher grip, but it kind of still has me locked in with those finger grips. So for those who are going to go, I would strongly suggest actually going with the finger removal. I think this looks better aesthetically, but with function, much better. Again, it's kind of like a 1911. You just feel like you can get higher up on the grip. They also, if you can take a look, they cut this out and stipple it, which is nice because when you index the gun again, you put your finger right here and it allows you to kind of push up against, and that provides great traction right there, which I dig. So that's the frame. I also had installed the extended slide release. I'm going to take that crap off. And just, it's one of those things where I was like, oh, I'll just get it, cool, whatever. I think I've gotten the slide cut up a few times. Again, by the way, just so everyone knows, this is not a carry weapon for me. This is not I do not carry this as to protect my life. Again, that's what I was saying. Like if I had a 10 millimeter stock, this gun I've had issues and problems with just because I've messed with it. So I don't trust my life on it. This is a range gun. This is kind of my project gun, toy I take out. We go hit targets and stuff like that. But outside of that, it's not. Okay, so I've got a Surefire X300. They've since come out with the X300 Ultra, I think it is. I wish I had it. I've got a holster that's Codex holster that's done by Black Point Tactical. Fortunately, it is fitted for the X300, so I couldn't upgrade to the X300 Ultra because that's like a 500 lumens. It's pretty bright. So yeah, it's got that flashlight. If you never used them before, they're great because you can keep constant on by the switch lever that's on there, or you can actually just simply push forward, which allows you on and off to identify targets, so on and so forth. So I really like that. Moving on, these are slide serrations that were done, slide work, which that's the I think that the pinnacle of this gun. The way he did it was awesome. I actually asked him to extend it past. Generally, I think he does it right here, but I wanted a long serration. Which just allows you, so when you're indexing to check to see if you have room in the magazine, or if you want to rack, you can do that. It's kind of a little over redundant because the same thing with the Trigicon. I mean, these things are, you can rack it. These things are like almost impossible to break. I mean, you can, I guess, but that's why you're paying $600 for this product. It's just so durable. I mean, you seriously, if you want to rack a bullet or a round in the chamber, you can slam that on something and it will go. But still, it allows you one-hand manipulation, or at least upper slide. I put suppressor heights, so when you actually have the gun, it will co-witness, such as, let me move over here a little bit. Okay. I have such, right? So the thing about the RMR, if you have never shot with it, it does require a learning curve. It's not as easy as it looks, but it's as easy as you make it and train with it. If that makes any sense. Meaning, the reason why I like the suppressor sight is when I bring that weapon up, I actually look for the iron sights first. So when I bring that gun up, boom, first thing I'm hitting is the iron. Then you see the red dot. And that red dot, once you got that red dot going, boom, you as soon as you get that on target, you pull the trigger. If not, what's going to happen is that dot's going to start swimming. So basically, essentially, like I said, iron sights up, like natural position, and then as soon as that red dot, put it on target, pull your trigger, and you can pull as fast as you can, and boom, that red dot will track. Does require some training, does require some practice, but it's not tough. Now, if you want to go, they make them where you don't have to mill this out, where you don't have to co-witness, because this is an expensive route. You can get a mount that replaces this and basically sits that up on top, a little bit higher bore over axis, but not really that big of a deal. But the problem is you got to find it too. I mean, you have to be extremely repetitive. It's not like a rifle, where when you bring that weapon up, you're locked in and they're automatically your eyes on this. You're literally coming out into this space. So you have to have trained yourself enough where you know exactly where you are bringing that pistol up. You see how I didn't even make my bed. That was my wife, by the way. She was supposed to make that. So anyways, that's the red dot. This is the RMR 06, which I prefer. I mean, I could have gone with the 07, which is bigger, but the 06 I dig. It's smaller. You can turn up the brightness. It's adjustable. So anyways, when he got done serrating this, doing the serration in this, he being the owner, I forget what his name is. I think his name is Chris. I could be wrong, but he Cerakoted it. Yeah. So I replaced the barrel, and the reason why is I wanted to be able to shoot cast iron rounds out of this, just for if I ever did want to, or excuse me, let me rephrase that, if I ever was to encounter a black bear. I live in Georgia, but originally I'm from North Carolina, so I do spend a lot of times in North Carolina mountains. Black bears are common. Um, Even though those who live in North Carolina realize that most black bears, man, they're scared of you. I mean, there are a couple things that you want to take into consideration. That's a whole different discussion. But I'll just say most black bear encounters I've had, and I've had quite a few, they're skittish. They don't want to have anything to do with you. With that said, there are times if you startle one or you come up between, a mama bear and its cubs or something like that, they become extremely aggressive and will attack. I've never been in that situation, thankfully, because I would never want to take down an animal that was trying to protect its own. But then again, my life versus theirs, I'm going to protect mine and my family if I'm there. So with that said, I wanted to have that option. The Glock barrel with the hexagon, you can shoot lead, I guess, but supposedly it's really bad. It can foul it up. Highly suggested not to. It can create like a tumbling effect where the round actually starts tumbling instead of having like a yaw on it. It'll tumble. So I got this. This barrel hasn't been too bad. It's a Lone Wolf. I actually had it got the paint done on it, oxidized. So I wanted to stay the same color. The only downside was that I had a long wait. I had like a 6-month wait to get this, a replacement barrel, and a heavier buffer spring. I mean, it took like 6 months. It was outrageously long, and then stuff on back order, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. But still, regardless, I got a threaded version, and that's another downside. I got a thread protector every time, literally, like every 15 shots you would take, you would have to screw it on because it would want to come off. I used to have an HK USP 45 Tactical that had a threaded barrel, and that thing stayed on tight. This one, I mean, it just wants to come off. And the only reason why I kept it on there is just to protect it in case, A, I ever decided to suppress it. I do have friends that have suppressors. But two, just I wanted the look of having been able to be capped off, and it won't stay on there. So I lost it. I'm debating whether or not to even get another one. With that said, the main reason why I got a threaded barrel was simply for velocity gain. Now, some people will say that is stupid. You literally are talking about an inch. When you're talking about Magnum rounds, anytime an inch matters, okay? If you can add 50 to 100 feet per second on a round, especially in a handgun round, I'm all for it. I learned my lesson when I had a 44 mag. I got the Smith & Wesson Performance Center 2 and 5/8 barrel. That thing was a fireball shooting. Little velocity. I was shooting a 44 mag, and it was the most painful gun I've ever shot, okay? So it was just a lose-lose situation. Big old fireball, barely hitting Magnum rounds or velocity. I figured out what the longer the barrel I have, the more gains I get, the more burn time I get. So I'm gaining about an inch more off a stock Glock barrel, which is going to increase. I haven't put on a chronograph, but it is going to increase about 45 to maybe 100 feet per second. Maybe not. Maybe it's just 25. I don't care. But regardless, it doesn't affect my maneuverability. Still can holster the weapon properly. And just no issue. The only issue is they suck in terms of thread protectors. I'm going to check on aftermarket and see if they have anything else. Okay. To give you a look at internals, it's the same thing as any other Glock. Again, clear, make sure it's safe direction. Okay. Oops. So with this gun, like I said, I've got the Lone Wolf barrel, and then I've got their steel rod, and this has a 22 pound. And the reason why, I was reading on different forums, they said that this is going to be better, reliability, so on and so forth. It's not so much wear and tear on the gun. Personally, I don't see a huge difference. I mean, now, granted, this gun I haven't thrown that many rounds down. I'm down range. I mean, I'm definitely below 1,000 rounds. But, in terms of recoil management, not so much. Okay? That's just my experience. when I shoot a buffalo bore round versus shooting like a Remington UMC, what is it, the UM whatever, I know the difference, and it don't make a dang difference whether I've got this spring in or not. I could run comparison with the double recoil spring, but it really does not matter. So again, the gun broke down. You've got the barrel, you've got the spring, recoil spring, and then you have the slide again with the serrations, RMR, and then a 15-round magazine. Right now I'm running double tap. I think they're 180 grain hollow points. I was buying these. I was running this before. I was having some issues with it. Now, granted, the issues have really taken place with the conversion barrel, the 40 cal. It's just not running good. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that. I might get on the phone with Lone Wolf, find out what the deal is. But doesn't matter. If I don't have a gun that it's 100% reliable, or I don't feel is 100% reliable, I'm not going to run it or carry it because I'm not going to risk my life on an unreliable gun, right? Or my family's life. So, yep, that is that. Hold on one second. One last thing before I quit this review. The Fulcrum trigger, okay? There's debates about messing with the trigger, okay? Across the board, people are going to say, do not mess with the trigger. And I'm going to say, I agree 100%, okay? Some people talk about putting the disconnect. That's the Ghost at 3.5. You can do that. That's fine. Okay, I agree with that. I have learned my lesson. The more you start messing with the gun, the more issues you're going to have, especially Glocks, man. Glocks are just so simple. That's the reason why they run so well. I mean, I think personally, in my personal opinion, Glocks are the ugliest stinking guns on the planet. That's my opinion. I used to hate them. I wouldn't even shoot them because they're ugly. Which is stupid, but still. But then I got a Glock 19 from a buddy in a bar, and I was like, this is amazing. I was grouping it well. I just love the way. Some people hate the angle of the grip. It was just almost natural for me. But the more you start messing with the gun, especially the internals, the more issues you're going to have. I promise you that. This gun itself, right now, you're looking at close to $2,500 worth of investment I've got in this gun. And I'm having issues. So let this lesson be your lesson. So when you start messing with a gun, just understand that you could potentially have some issues. All right. Outside of that, it's a fun gun. I enjoy it. 10 millimeter, like I said, it is a potent round. You go to shoot different things, as opposed to a 45. I've heard, I could be wrong, but ballistically speaking, especially with a potent round at 100 yards, the energy is that of 45 at point blank. So, it's just a flat shooting gun. It's a powerful round. The recoil is snappy. But it's not unmanageable. Okay. So you can fire off a string of rounds, relatively efficiently and proficiently hitting a target. Maybe not as quick as a 9 millimeter, or other calibers, but still. So, in summary, with this weapon, if you were going to think about doing a setup like this, meaning like an RMR based, maybe do some stipple grip, here's what I would suggest, okay? RMR, cool, awesome, love it, solid, take some training to get used to it, but once you do, it's good. I've heard different people say, hey, I shoot better with iron sights. Some people say, hey, I love this. This is the wave of the future. Regardless of whatever it may be, I like it. I think it's a cool thing. Second thing, stippling grips. I love them. I love stippling my grips. Some guys don't like doing the permanent mods. Some people don't like the aggressive texture, because it will. When you wear against bare skin, if you're going to have inside the waistband, it's going to wear. Outside of that, would not mess with the gun. Okay? I just highly suggest, if you want to put a light on it, that's cool. If you want to change out sights, by God, change out the Glock sights. They suck. They're plastic. They're garbage. I don't know. You may like them, but I don't. Every Glock I've owned, I change that out. That's cool. Outside of that, don't mess with the gun, okay? Unless it's a range toy. Now, if you got a range toy and you want to go and do Pimp My Ride edition, and this is yours, and you pull it out, and you'll pull this gun out, and if you're with a group of guys, everybody's going to want to shoot this gun. Everyone's going to drool over it, and it's cool, okay? So, strokes your ego. Outside of that, don't mess with it. These Fulcrum triggers, I love them. I mean, you can set them, and they just feel so crisp. They're awesome. Dangerous to have in terms of malfunctions and different things happening. So that's just my 2 cents, and that's where I'm at with this gun. So love the gun. In fact, anyone's interested, I might be selling it. I literally just made the most horrible sales pitch about the gun, considering its flaws. But I am considering about dumping it and purchasing something else. So anyways, that's it. Feel free to ask questions. Feel free to give me any advice, feedback, any criticism, any disagreements about my setup or any other setups. The last thing is, if you are going to do this type of setup, don't do it in 10 millimeter. Do it in 9 millimeter. Excuse me, when I mean setup RMR, because you can do it when you're doing your firing. It does, but I've shot it with 9 millimeter. Oh man, so much sweeter. Just getting back up on target. Anyway, I'm a 9 millimeter fan, so I think that about sums it up. So feel free to ask questions, subscribe, and I'll put out more videos. The more you guys ask, the more I've got plenty of guns that I can review. So anyways, that's it. Thank you. Take care.